Ever since the death of the great Virtus Pro lineup in csgo, the Polish scene has been struggling to find a truly great contending team. Today, I'm going to present two players who I believe are the beginning of a Polish renaissance in csgo and could lead to the birth of another great Polish fight. Hello, and welcome back to another video. Today's something a little different. Ever since the great Virtus Pro lineup kind of petered out and fell to pieces in the late 2017, early 2018 kind of era, there's been little to look forward to for Polish fans. The few young talents the scene had supposedly found turned out to be not that special, and really petered out when they were put under the intense scrutiny of Tier 1 Counter-Strike. Over the course of 2020 and 2021, a few young names have begun to establish themselves in Polish teams. Today's video focuses on two of them. I'm going to be breaking down some of their demos and giving you an idea of how they play and what they could contribute to such a team. The two players in question are Hades from Wisla Krakow and Fiku from AGO. The youngest member of AGO by quite a distance, Fiku has caught my eye for two reasons. Firstly, he has excellent aim. Secondly, he plays the role the team demands of him incredibly well. It is difficult for a player to really make themselves noticed whilst playing the roles that Fiku does. He is a sight anchor on the defense and a lot of the time a hard entry on the offense. Two roles which are usually associated with supportive players who rarely have their name up in lights. To show you exactly what I mean, I've prepared two maps. The first one is an Inferno game against Nemiga. So here is something AGO quite like doing on pistol rounds. They will stack a bomb site where they're expecting a rush and leave Fiku alone to hold the other. This is the first time we see Fiku's aim on display, as he takes down 4 to secure the first pistol. This setup is not typical outside of pistol rounds. Typically on CT side of Inferno, Fiku plays alongside Furlan at B. They like to fight for banana control, isolating players at logs and picking up free kills when the terrorists half commit to early banana control. Our first great example of how Fiku plays his anchoring role is here on round 3 where he has an MP9. He does the job of anchoring simply by not showing himself as time runs down and doing enough for the team to win the round. Here's a little cheeky one I had to include. It's a dossier nade to kill the player saving in pit. You do love to see it. Here on round 9, the team goes for a mid-aggression and leave Fiku as the solo anchor on B. He throws this utility set to keep control of top banana, making sure a B rush can't come through and catch him up. Later on the CT side, Fiku pulls out the secondary AWP. Here he gets a nice pair of kills to secure the round. Unfortunately for AGO, Nemiga take the last 4 rounds going into halftime. On T side of Inferno, AGO play a lot of defaults that look for information, hold for pushes, and try to work a pick somewhere on the map. Fiku's job on Inferno is to play banana. Sometimes, like on this pistol round, he plays passively and waits for CTs to present their head to him. On other rounds, he tries to take banana control. This is usually done after the initial barrage of nades. It's more of a banana retake than an early aggression. One thing that remains constant is that Fiku is one of the first to expend his utility on T side. This is due to him playing the hard entry role on the team's eventual executes. One thing I loved whilst watching this demo is how methodical his pathing looks on his T side entries. Just look here, comparing his pistol round and his rifle round. It's almost the exact same movement, clearing out the exact same spots, like a robot. Here we see an example of an execute out of apartments. We see Fiku is doing the dirty work again, having used all his utility, showing presence on banana. Even though Fiku's job is tough, running in through smokes, often flashed and not knowing where his opponents are, he still finds a way to get that impact that valuable entry fraggers are able to do. So he plays a difficult role, but he makes the most of the opportunities that present themselves, firstly by persevering, and secondly thanks to his excellent aim. A lot of these same points can be seen on the next map, which is Vertigo, where AGO took on Endpoint. Here we go again with the CT side pistol 1-4 split. Unfortunately, on this occasion, the team goes into the stack rather than into Fiku. Another similarity between his Vertigo and Inferno play is this utility usage to take more aggressive control of the B stairs, as he once did in Banana on Inferno. One of the main differences is that instead of playing with Furlan, he plays with Rallon. One thing that's for certain on Vertigo is that Fiku is the anchor for the B bomb site. Rallon plays more towards mid and spends a lot of time rotating away as teams tend to favour A on Vertigo. This leads to Fiku being asked to perform whilst multiple opponents push him at once, time and time again. And yet, he delivers. Here on round 8 against a half-buy, he trades 2 for 1. An excellent achievement considering the power of pistols in the current meta. Round 9, he gets another double kill, this time against a full buy. But he doesn't fight unnecessarily. Here on round 13, he doesn't die trying to defend the site. Instead, he falls back, regroups, and plays the retake with his team. This little detail is telling. Fiku has only been playing professionally for just over a year, yet he understands the value of having a 4v2 advantage over potentially getting another frag on his highlight reel. What's great about this understanding of his role is that it's a role that few want to take on. Being an anchor is unforgiving. You'll often die, you'll often get flashed, mollied out. It's a punishing role, and the fact that he understands it this well so soon in his career, relatively, is impressive. The T-side pistol round opens up with a contact play up the A ramp. Quick side note here, this is a really cool decoy to check sandbags. If someone is there, the impact sound lets the Ts know. It's not perfect, there are certain spots they could be sitting where it might miss, but it's a really cool idea. Fiku is able to get a kill, but then Flames just fucking kills everyone. It's one of those rounds you expect to win 7 times out of 10, but sometimes this random Israeli kid just rips your heads off. Similar to Inferno, Fiku's job on the T side is to hold B and prevent pushes, though he's far less aggressive about it on Vertigo, probably thanks to the extra amount of open space and the verticality making it far less easy to challenge. When the teams execute finishes on B, Fiku has a tendency to actually be alive, which is something we didn't see often in Inferno. This late double in round 22 wins the 3v3 scenario outright, showing how effective he can be in a slightly more passive, lurking role. He still entries on a fair amount of rounds, especially when the team goes A. This is the other default they like to use, where the majority of the team is on the ramp, trying to fight for control of it. On round 24, we get to see more of his entry work. He then finishes off this round with a tasty one-tap, showing off that Wunderkind aim. Finally, on round 26, he brings out a more aggressive look towards B, catching out his opponent and finding an opening pick in the final round of the game. For a 17-year-old, Fiku shows a great amount of maturity in the way he plays. He doesn't have the burden of playmaking in most rounds, which does serve as an advantage. It is also an area he should look to develop, even if it is harder to do so whilst being so young and surrounded by so many veterans. The way Fiku is able to find multi-kills from the positions and the roles he's been assigned is a testament to how good of a player he is already, and is a promising sign of things to come. Hades is a name that has popped onto many people's radars recently, having been absolutely stellar in their best of 3 defeat against Complexity in the IEM Katowice play-in. Hades is a very skilled AWPer, finding multi-kills through his absurdly fast flicks and quickscopes. The first map I'll be taking a look at is the second map of the Complexity series on Mirage. On Mirage CT side, Hades takes responsibility for mid connector and jungle. This is also true of pistol rounds. On this pistol round, he hits a lovely shot onto config, then follows it up by, well, I'll let the demo do the talking. They lose round 2 to a force buy, but then on round 4, thankfully they won an eco, which allowed them to take back control of the economy and get an AWP into Hades' hands. Round 6, we see the first of many positioning switch-ups as he takes a forward position in B apps. he gets the pick and falls off smartly. Against the Force Buy on round 7, Hades doesn't take too many risks, and he grabs a multi-kill as complexity swing 1 by 1 with no utility for some reason. Here are some more nice shots. Complexity don't have the utility to prevent him peeking from jungle, and he kills them 1 by 1. Round 12 and 13, he has some, I would say, disappointing deaths. Getting caught out by players who have essentially acted faster than he expected them to. This might be a question of the level he's used to playing at. Maybe players don't go as fast or don't make the most out of their spawn timings as Config does here on this mid play. These are the sort of kinks you'd hope to iron out in an elite team who is constantly playing against the world's best. Now over to the T side. The first thing I want to highlight is this god tier molly from Spiro. Here's the lineup in case any of you are wondering how to do it. After getting off to a pretty poor start on the T side, Wisla Krakow win a Force Buy by pulling off this very nice execute and then a couple trade kills onto B. The majority of the T side, Hades is just holding for pushes as the rest of the team takes map control. He still finds some frags, but nothing that really blows rounds open like he did on the CT side. This doesn't feel so much like a Hades problem, and if it is, it's a huge one. I hope it's only a problem of the way the in-game leader uses him because, well, it'll come up later and I'll get more in depth on it. Round 30 had me screeching. They need to win this round to get to overtime, and Hades decides to do this. He was so bored from all the waiting around that he just runs out and tries to kill the guy under Palace and dies like a lemon. Maybe this is a little impatience, or maybe it's a little boredom. I don't know. Either way, they win the round and they're able to get into overtime. Round 31, we see this nice little double kill showcasing how his in-game leader seems to want him to play. He gets the trade and then holds for the flank. Round 32, he gets a double opening onto both AWPers on the A site. Some questionable peeks and reactions from the Complexity players, but hey, credit to Hades, he hits the shot. Here in the final round of overtime, we get some pretty nice stuff. He picks off the mid player through the edge of a bad smoke, and then finds another kill on the players trying to get up connector. What I gathered from this first map is Hades has a relatively large amount of freedom on CT side, playing a whole host of different positions with his big green gun, though mainly being focused around mid and A. His T-side play seems far more restricted, being more of a cog in this larger system. Either way, watching Hades' demos just... he is fast and he is precise. And half of what my notes say is just wow, flick, oh, fast. Because it's impressive to watch. The second map I'm going to break down is Overpass against Saw. Hades was far less prominent on this map, but I think it's important to examine why that was and what potential downsides there are to his gameplay as of right now. During Wisla Krakow's defaults, Hades doesn't really get up to much. He sits and waits for pushes around Playground and Fountain. When we do get into the buy rounds and the team goes for faster B execs, Hades throws utility, but then sits and waits for flankers who are coming through spawn or connector, which is a bit strange. At least to me. I get the feeling that Wisla Krakow know even less about how to use their AWPer on Overpass T-side than they did on T-side Mirage. One of the great displays of terrorist AWPing on Overpass is Device versus SK Gaming at PGL Major Krakow 2017, where the Great Dane absolutely dismantled the Brazilians. One of the main differences between what we're not seeing from Hades here and what we saw from Device on that legendary game, at least in my opinion, is Device is varying his T-side positions and his T-side picks almost as much as he would on CT side, and he is far more aggressive with it, peeking out long, peeking into bathrooms, peeking heaven out of monster on the execute to B. There is so much more variety, but also so much more risk being taken. Of course, we know Device, he backs up his risk taking with a lot of preparation, but this is the sort of thing I want to see from a great AWPer. This is what I believe Hades could be, and that's why I expect those things of him right now. Round 14, we have a nice double kill. but overall this was a relatively quiet half for the AWPer. Now we're on the defense, and here is where we usually see Hades at his best. He is constantly trying to find new angles to pick from, including this cool run boost into short B on round 20, but he doesn't take too many unnecessary risks. He has solid protocols for staying alive, taking shots and falling back to his next positions. All of this is textbook stuff. Overpass is a very large map that allows for a lot of aggression, but that you also have to be very careful to not be caught out on. That's why it's so cool to see him take these picks, or at least attempt these picks, and then fall back to the next logical position to defend from on whatever site he's holding. Typically it's A. You'll see him take a pick towards Fountain or Playground, move back to Toilets, then take a shot, move back to Site, take a shot, move back behind Optimus, take a shot, move back into behind Dumpster, take a shot, move back behind the map, take a shot, move back onto Inferno, take a shot down mid, move back onto A site, take a shot. Round 24, here we have one of our few highlight plays actually on this map, where he gets this very pretty double to shut down the pistol round. Again, more textbook repositioning and an incredible flick onto the second. Hades is a fascinating prospect. He's already a savant on the CT side, clearly capable of competing against the best Europe have to offer. Yet on T side, there's still a lot to uncover. Can he play more aggressively? Can he be more involved in executes? Currently, it's either team strategy or his own passiveness that's leading to this sort of question mark surrounding his T-side AWPing. Even with this uncertainty, Hades is invariably a quality player who is well worth watching and will likely continue to get better with time. For Polish Counter-Strike to return to the top, they're going to need a 5-man roster who can compete amongst the top 10 consistently. I believe I found 2 of those men today. Something I wanted to point out is that whilst I am highlighting Fiku and Hades, I am not trying to take away from the other young players or even some of the more established players there are on the scene. One of the more impressive names I want to shout out, especially after watching some of these demos, is Goofy. Goofy also plays for Wisla Krakow, and I almost included him in this video, but time is finite and I wanted to really get more specific with these guys in the time I had. If I had to pick a third Polish player for my theoretical 5-man roster right now, it would definitely be Goofy. There are questions now that have been left for the Polish scene to answer. Namely, who is the in-game leader and coach combination that is going to assemble and then lead this team? And secondly, who's that final guy? There are a number of veteran Polish players scattered around the European scene right now. 2 that come to mind, for example, are Michu and Duha. Or Duha. Well, I don't know how Polish people pronounce their Ys. Either way, it's just a question of assembling the right pieces and letting time do its work. A lot of the players I've brought up in today's video are quite young and quite inexperienced, so even once the team has been put together, they're going to need a while to gel and to really figure things out. But that's okay. This process is already a year in the making, and I think it's okay if it takes another year to fully flesh out. At this point, it's a question of assembling the right pieces and then giving them the time to gel. Who's going to take the step to actually try to put this roster together is beyond me, but hey, at least now the Polish scene has something to look forward to. Alright, that was something different from my usual content. Actually did a demo breakdown rather than just spouting off my opinions willy-nilly. Yeah, tell me if you enjoyed it. Tell me if you like the new format. As always, leave a comment telling me your opinion. I'd love to see them. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and sub if you want to see more. That's all for this one. Goodbye.